I held the newborn tightly against my chest, trying to drown the rising wave of panic with forced affection. The nurses said I had just given birth to a healthy baby girl, 7 pounds, 11 ounces.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Meaning.
And yet, as the hours passed in that cold, white hospital room, something inside me twisted. A feeling I couldn't name, a discomfort I couldn't explain. Every time I looked at her tiny features, dark hair, small eyes, sharp chin, I felt like I was looking at a stranger's child. The nurse assumed I was overwhelmed. My husband, Daniel, thought it was the pain medication. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. When my mother came in later that evening, her smile faltered. Just for a second. A small twitch of confusion crossed her face as she looked at the baby, but she pushed it away, pretending not to notice. I noticed. I noticed everything. On my second day in the maternity ward, the confusion grew. The baby didn't latch like the classes taught. Her hospital bracelet had a tiny scratch on the plastic, something I didn't remember being there. Her cries sounded different from the one I heard right after delivery. And the strangest part? A sudden, unexplainable chill ran through my body every time I held her, like the universe whispering that something was wrong. During one of the feeding checks, the nurse scanned the baby's ID tag and the scanner beeped. Not once.
Twice.
A small red error flashed. She frowned, rescanned it again, and the green light finally appeared. I wasn't imagining things. Later that night, I woke to the sound of a baby crying aggressively down the hall. The scream was raw, loud, familiar. My blood ran cold because it sounded exactly like the cry I remembered from the delivery room, the one that wasn't coming from the child in my arms. The next morning, as I waited for discharge papers, my older sister, Selena, walked into my room. She wasn't supposed to be in town. She wasn't supposed to even know I'd gone into labor early. Her face was pale, makeup smudged, eyes red as if she had been crying all night. She avoided looking at the baby. She hugged me awkwardly, stiff, her hands trembling. "What's wrong?" I asked, staring at her. "Nothing," she said too quickly. I just came to see you. To congratulate you." But her voice cracked on the last word. And then, for the briefest moment, her gaze flicked toward the baby, fear, relief, guilt all tangled in her expression. She knew something. And suddenly, the pieces fell together in a way that made my stomach drop. My sister had been having major marriage problems for months. Her husband desperately wanted a baby, and her recent pregnancy had ended in a heartbreaking loss, a loss she never emotionally recovered from. I stared at her, heart pounding. Her hands trembled. She couldn't look at the child. A wild, unbelievable thought hit me so hard that I felt the air leave my lungs. Had my sister done something? Before I could ask, Selena whispered shakily, "You're going home today, right? Good, good. Everything will be fine now." Everything in her voice screamed the opposite. Everything. And in that moment, I finally understood. This wasn't just anxiety. This wasn't hormones. Something unnatural, horrifying, intentional had happened. And my sister knew exactly what it was. I went home the next morning, carrying the baby in her car seat like she was both precious and terrifying. The hospital staff congratulated me as if everything were normal, but normal had died the moment Selena walked into that room looking like a ghost wearing my sister's skin. Daniel talked the whole drive home about diapers, routines, our first night as parents, but I barely heard him. My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning everything out. The baby slept silently in the back seat, too quietly, too still. And every time I looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror, that same creeping chill spread through my chest. As soon as we got home, the house felt wrong. I had imagined bringing my first child into a warm, bright home, full of celebration. Instead, I walked inside carrying a storm of dread. My mother arrived an hour later with food, gifts, and a look on her face she tried repeatedly to hide. She kept staring at the baby, as if something bothered her. After the third glance, she finally whispered, "She's beautiful. She just doesn't look like either of you yet."
Yet.
That word stabbed me. I didn't respond. Later that night, after everyone left and Daniel fell asleep, I sat on the couch in the dim glow of a single lamp and held the baby close. I traced her tiny nose, her chin, her eyebrows. None of it felt familiar. It wasn't about resemblance, it was something deeper. It felt like she wasn't mine. And then my phone buzzed. A message from Selena. Are you home? My hands shook as I typed back.
Yes.
Why? 3 dots appeared. They disappeared. Reappeared. Disappeared again. Then finally, I need to see the baby. My breath caught. I answered. Why? Her reply was instant.
Please.
It's important. My entire body tensed. She arrived at my house 20 minutes later. She didn't even knock. She walked straight in, her face pale and drawn. When she saw the baby in my arms, she froze completely, like someone had hit pause on her existence. Selena, I said slowly, what's going on? She swallowed hard, eyes locked on the infant. I just wanted to see her. No, I said firmly. You're hiding something. Her gaze flickered upward, and for a second, pure terror flashed across her face. She wrung her hands, stepped forward, stepped back, breathing fast. Selena. My voice broke. Look at me.
She did.
Is this my child? Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes instantly, overflowing before she could stop them. She shook her head quickly, violently, like she was trying to erase the question instead of answering it. That's insane, she whispered. Why would you even think? Because you're acting guilty. She pressed her hand to her mouth as if trying not to scream. I watched her shoulders shake, watched her panic rise, watched her crumble. Then she whispered something so quietly, I wasn't even sure I heard it. I had no choice. My heart dropped. What did you do? I stepped toward her. She stumbled back. Please don't make me say it. I deserve to know. I shouted, louder than intended. The baby flinched in my arms, and Selena let out a strangled sob, covering her ears. She backed toward the door. I can't. Then she turned and ran. Actually ran. Out the door, down the path, into her car, speeding away like she was fleeing a crime scene. The silence that followed felt suffocating. I sank onto the couch, trembling, staring at the door she had escaped through. There it was. The first crack. The truth was real. The truth was coming. And whatever it was worse than I ever imagined. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Selena's face. The panic, the guilt, the words she almost said but couldn't force out. And every time I woke, the same horrifying question punched through my skull. If this isn't my child, then where is my real baby? By morning, I felt sick. Daniel went to make breakfast, excited for our first full day at home as a family, while I quietly slipped into the nursery and stared at the baby in her crib. She looked peaceful, perfect even, but peace meant nothing when the truth was rotting underneath it. I lifted her gently. She felt light in my arms, fragile. And yet the moment I held her, something inside me rejected the connection like a body rejecting a transplant. This was not the child I had carried for 9 months. I knew it now. I felt it in my bones. As I rocked the baby, my phone vibrated. A message from Selena.
I'm sorry.
I panicked yesterday.
Can we talk?
My chest tightened. I typed. Tell me the truth. A long pause. Then, I can't text this. Please. Meet me. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to go straight to the police. Another part needed the truth from her mouth before I destroyed everything. I agreed. We met at a small coffee shop parking lot on the outskirts of town. Selena was already there, pacing circles around her car. She looked sleepless, her hair unbrushed, her eyes bloodshot. When she saw me approach, she burst into tears. Please don't hate me, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. Tell me what you did, I said flatly. All of it. She sucked in a sharp breath, shaking. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she said. I was desperate. Mark was going to leave me. His family was pressuring him because we couldn't have a baby after the miscarriage. He said he couldn't take the grief anymore. She wiped her tears with trembling fingers. When you went into labor early, I thought maybe it was a sign. A chance to fix everything. I felt the blood drain from my face. Selena, I whispered. Say it. She sobbed so hard her whole body shook. I took your baby. I swapped the bracelets. I switched them when the nurse left the room for just a few seconds. I didn't think. I wasn't thinking. Her voice cracked. I thought I could fix my life if I had her. I stared at her in pure shock. You stole my child, I said, my voice raw. You stole my newborn from me. Selena collapsed to her knees, crying uncontrollably.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I thought I could bring her back later, after Mark bonded with her, after he stayed. I didn't expect you to notice anything. I didn't expect. I stepped back, dizzy. My heart felt like it had been ripped open. Where is my baby? I demanded. Selena froze. Pain flooded her eyes. I don't have her anymore. My legs nearly gave out. What do you mean you don't have her? I gave her to Mark, she choked out. He thinks she's ours. My breath caught in my throat. You mean my daughter is living in his house right now? Under a lie? Selena nodded weakly. Rage boiled in my veins. You're insane. I know, she screamed, clutching her hair. I know, but you have to understand. If Mark finds out the truth, he'll leave me. He'll ruin me. He'll take everything. I didn't know what else to do. You expect me to care about your marriage when you kidnapped my child? She shook her head violently. I can fix it. I can fix everything. Just give me time. No, my voice hardened like steel. You're going to tell me where she is.
Now.
And then you're going to call the police and confess. Selena's face twisted with horror. I can't. You'll destroy my life. You already destroyed mine. Her shoulders slumped. She whispered one last broken sentence. If you go after her, Mark won't give her back. He doesn't know she's not mine. And he loves her. He'll fight you. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a nightmare with no clear path out. And it had only just begun. I drove home in a fog of disbelief, anger, and a terror I couldn't describe. My hands shook so badly that I had to pull over twice just to breathe. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown. Every second felt stolen from the child who was supposed to be in my arms right now, my child, not the baby sleeping in my nursery under a false identity. When I finally walked inside, Daniel noticed instantly. What happened? You look pale. I didn't answer. I headed straight for the nursery. The baby lay in the crib, swaddled tightly, innocent and unaware of the chaos swirling around her. I stared at her, and for the first time, I felt something other than confusion. I felt grief. Not for her, but for the child who should have been mine. Daniel followed me, concern deepening. Talk to me. What did Selena say? I turned toward him, my throat tightening. Daniel, I think something's very wrong. Something horrible. He frowned. With the baby? With everything. I didn't know how to begin. How to say the words. How to confess the unthinkable without sounding insane. But I had no choice. I told him everything. Selena's panic, her breakdown, her confession, the swap, the truth about Mark, and most painfully, the fact that our daughter was living in another man's home. By the time I finished, Daniel's face had gone cold and colorless. That can't be real, he said. No one would do that. She wouldn't. She did. I whispered. She admitted it. He stared at the baby in the crib, his hands balled into fists. So, whose baby is this? I don't know, I said. But she isn't ours. Daniel stepped back, sinking into the rocking chair like the weight of the world had crushed him. He buried his face in his hands. My God, this is kidnapping. This is a crime. I know. He lifted his head. We're calling the police. Right now. But I hesitated. Not because I doubted he was right. Not because I felt sorry for Selena. But because of something she said right before I left. Mark won't give her back. He'll fight you. The way she said it, the certainty, it chilled me. Daniel, I said quietly, What if going straight to the police makes them hide her? What if they disappear with my baby before anyone gets there? What if we lose her forever? He froze. And now he understood my terror. We needed proof. We needed strategy. We needed to know exactly where she was, who was with her, and how to get her safely. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. So, what do we do? My mind raced. We confront Mark. But not alone. And not without evidence. How do we get evidence? There was only one way. The hospital. We start with the medical records, I said. Footprints, blood tests, ID scans. The baby's biometric data. Anything that shows she isn't ours. Daniel nodded slowly. And then we forced Selena to tell the truth. On record. As we spoke, my phone buzzed again. A message from Selena. Please don't do anything yet. I'm begging you. Attached a photo. My heart dropped. It was a picture of my real baby, sleeping peacefully on a blue blanket in a house I didn't recognize. She had my nose, Daniel's eyes, my mother's chin. I pressed the phone to my chest, feeling my heart tear open. Daniel leaned over to look. His breath caught. That's her, he whispered. That's our daughter. Just seeing her made the decision for me. I wasn't waiting. I wasn't hesitating. I wasn't letting my sister dictate anything anymore. We're getting her back, I said, my voice steady for the first time since this nightmare began. No matter what we have to do. Daniel looked at me, eyes hardening with the same resolve.
How?
I lifted my phone. We start by going to the hospital. Tonight. The hospital at night felt nothing like the place where I had given birth just days earlier. The hallways were dim, quiet, stripped of the joyful chaos of nurses and new families. Everything looked colder now, sharper, like the building itself knew something was wrong. Daniel and I walked through the maternity ward with a determination that made the night shift staff stare. When we reached the front desk, the nurse looked up politely. Can I help you? I swallowed hard. I need to speak with whoever has access to newborn identification records. My baby's file. And mine. The nurse frowned. Ma'am, visiting hours are over. You'll need to come back. No. Daniel cut in, voice firm. This is an emergency. The nurse's expression changed. She hesitated, studied my pale face, then picked up the phone. Within minutes, a senior charge nurse, gray hair, sharp eyes, walked out and guided us into a private consultation room. Tell me what's going on. I took a breath that felt like a razor. I think my sister switched my baby with someone else's. The charge nurse didn't laugh. She didn't look shocked. She just nodded slowly, eyes narrowing with a professional seriousness that told me she had seen stranger things. What makes you believe that? I recited every strange detail, the mismatching features, the bracelet error, the unfamiliar cry, the unexplained hospital visit from my sister, and then, finally, Selena's confession. By the end, the nurse's face had hardened. She stood. I'll pull the ID scans, footprints, and delivery room logs, she said. Stay here. It felt like hours before she returned, clutching a thick file and a printed sheet of scanned records. She spread them out on the table. Let's compare the newborn in your discharge file to the newborn logs recorded immediately after delivery. She pointed to the first image, the tiny ink footprints taken the moment the real baby was born. Then she pointed to the second image, the footprints taken at discharge. A cold chill sliced down my spine. The patterns didn't match. Not even close. I covered my mouth, shaking. That's not the same baby. No, the nurse said. It isn't. Daniel stared, his jaw clenched so tightly I thought he might break his teeth. So, the baby they sent home with us isn't biologically yours. I felt everything blur. My legs went weak. Daniel grabbed my arm to keep me from collapsing. The nurse reached for another paper. There's more. The bracelet logs show a manual override in the system at 2:13 a.m. Someone scanned 2 babies twice, then reprinted 1 tag. My blood ran cold. That was when Selena was alone with me, I whispered. The nurse stepped out for just a moment. Daniel's hands balled into fists. How did no one catch this? The nurse exhaled slowly, because the bracelets scanned correctly after the override. Whoever did this knew exactly what to do to avoid suspicion. Selena, my own sister. Do you want us to notify the police? The nurse asked. I closed my eyes. The answer should have been yes. But one thought stopped me. Mark. I kept hearing Selena's shaking voice. He loves her. He'll fight you. He won't give her back. If he found out before I reached her, he could disappear with my baby. I forced myself to breathe. Not yet. We need to get her first. The nurse didn't like that answer, but she didn't argue. Instead, she handed me a sealed envelope containing copies of every document we needed, proof that couldn't be denied. We walked out of the hospital with the evidence in hand. As we reached the parking lot, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. When I opened it, my heart stopped. It was a video of my newborn, my real daughter, crying in someone's arms. A man's arms. Mark's arms. His voice in the background said, "Shh, Daddy's here." My vision blurred with rage. Daniel grabbed the phone from my shaking hand. This ends now, he said. We're going to their house. I nodded, eyes burning. Yes. Tonight. Because now we had proof. And no one, not Selena, not Mark, not anyone was going to keep me from my child again. Mark lived 20 minutes away, but the drive felt like wading through fire. Every second was torture. Every red light a knife. The streetlights smeared across my vision because I couldn't stop crying, yet every tear felt useless. My baby needed action, not emotion. Daniel drove with a fury I'd never seen in him. His jaw was clenched so tightly the muscles trembled. He kept checking the rearview mirror, as if making sure no one followed us. There was no space for fear anymore. Only determination. When we turned onto Mark and Selena's street, my pulse pounded so hard it hurt. Their house looked normal. Quiet. Calm. Lights on inside. Curtains drawn. But inside those walls, my daughter was sleeping in the arms of the wrong man, under the lies of the wrong mother. The moment Daniel parked, I got out of the car before the engine even stopped. He rushed to my side, gripping my arm. Wait, he whispered. We need to be smart. I forced myself to breathe. He was right. Rage wouldn't save her. Strategy might. Lights glowed through the living room window. Shadows moved inside, one tall, one smaller. My heart seized. I could hear faint voices. Then a baby's soft whimper. Daniel squeezed my hand once, then knocked on the door. Firm. 3 times. Not a request, a demand. Footsteps approached. The door opened. And there he was. Mark. Tall. Broad shoulders. Tired eyes. The man who had raised his voice at Christmas last year when someone joked about infertility. The man who had been sinking deeper into grief after Selena's miscarriage. He froze when he saw us. Daniel, he said slowly. Then his eyes landed on me. They narrowed. Why are you here? I stepped forward, voice shaking but steady. I need my baby. Mark's face shifted, confusion flickered, then suspicion. What? Where is she? I asked. I know everything. I know what Selena did. I know the baby you think is yours isn't. His whole body tensed. A woman's gasp came from behind him. Selena appeared in the hallway, eyes wide with terror. No, please stop, don't do this. Where's my daughter? I repeated louder. Mark looked between us, stunned. Selena, what is she talking about? Selena burst into tears. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mark grabbed her shoulders. Selena, answer her. She shook her head violently, sobbing. I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to stay. I needed you. I thought I could fix everything. Mark's breathing changed. It wasn't confusion anymore. It was dawning horror. Selena, he whispered, voice breaking. What did you do? He pushed past her and disappeared down the hallway. Selena cried louder. I followed him. Daniel tried to hold me back, but nothing could stop me. Not now. Down the hall, second door, on the left, a soft glow beneath it. Mark opened the nursery door, and I saw her. My daughter. Sleeping in a crib with a pink knitted blanket and a mobile spinning slowly above her head. My knees buckled. Her tiny chest rose and fell gently, peacefully. She had the same delicate eyelashes from the video. The round cheeks I recognized from the moment I first held her. She looked like me. She looked like Daniel. She looked like every dream I had for 9 months. Mark stepped away from the crib, hands shaking. His voice cracked. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear to God, I didn't know." I barely heard him. I walked forward, like I was moving underwater. My hands hovered above her, afraid to touch her, afraid she wasn't real. Then she shifted sides softly, and I broke. My hands scooped her up instinctively, instantly, naturally. Something inside me clicked into place, something that had been missing since the moment I left the delivery room. This was my child. This was the baby I had lost. Her warmth flooded me like life itself. Her scent, sweet, soft, familiar, filled my chest until breathing hurt. Daniel reached me and wrapped his arm around us both. His tears fell onto the baby's blanket. Behind us, Mark choked out, "I'm sorry. I didn't know, but I love her like she's mine." I turned slowly. "That doesn't give you the right to keep her." His expression twisted.
Pain.
Love. Confusion. Anger.
Fear.
Selena stumbled into the room behind him, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'll do anything. Please don't take her from me, please."
Ich zerrte her.
"You already took everything from me." Silence filled the room. Then Mark whispered, "What happens now?" Daniel's voice was steel. "Now we fix this. Legally." Selena's scream echoed through the hallway. "And oh, please don't call the police. Mark, please don't let them take her." But Mark didn't look at her. He looked at me, then at the baby. He swallowed hard and said the words that shattered Selena completely. "She's not ours. She belongs with her mother." Selena dropped to the floor, sobbing. And I held my daughter tighter, because nothing was going to take her from me again. The courtroom felt colder than any hospital room I had ever stepped into. Rows of wooden benches, polished floors, and the low hum of whispers formed the backdrop of the moment my entire life had been building toward. I sat with my hands folded tightly in my lap, knuckles white, trying to steady the tremor running through me. Across the aisle sat Melissa, my sister, my blood, looking smaller than I had ever seen her. She wasn't wearing makeup, her hair unstyled, her shoulders hunched. But even stripped of all the armor she used to wear so proudly, she still couldn't meet my eyes. The judge reviewed the files, flipping pages that contained the darkest chapters of our family's history. DNA results, nurses' statements, surveillance footage showing Melissa entering the nursery wing at a time she had no reason to be there. The text logs between her and Daniel's family where she begged them not to let him leave her, no matter what it takes. And the worst, her own recorded confession. My attorney whispered, "This will be a short hearing." But nothing felt short. Every second stretched. Every breath tasted like old betrayal. When Melissa was finally asked to speak, she stood slowly. Her voice wavered the moment she opened her mouth. I never meant to hurt anyone." She swallowed hard. I was scared. Daniel kept saying he married the wrong sister, that he should have been with her instead of me. I thought if the baby didn't look like him, he'd walk out and leave me. Her eyes glossed with tears, but they didn't fall. They just hung there, like apologies she couldn't bring herself to release. "I made a horrible mistake," she whispered. "A monstrous one. I know I ruined everything. I know." Her shoulders shook. "But I never meant for it to go this far." A part of me wanted to ask her what this far even meant. Did she expect stealing my newborn to magically fix her marriage? Did she think I would never notice? That I would raise a child who wasn't mine while she raised mine without guilt clawing through her every day? The judge listened silently, but his eyes didn't soften. When she sat down, she avoided my gaze again, staring at her hands like they were someone else's. Finally, the judge read the verdict. Custody of my son legally restored. Criminal charges upheld. A mandatory psychological evaluation. Probation with restrictions.
Court-ordered therapy.
and a restraining order preventing Melissa from contacting me or my child for an extended period. It was more merciful than I expected, less than what she truly deserved, more than I could emotionally process. Outside, the sky was overcast, heavy, gray, muted, matching everything I felt inside. I stepped into the fresh air with my son held close against my chest. His tiny fingers curled around the collar of my shirt. His warmth grounded me in a way I desperately needed. My mother approached quietly. She looked older, wearier, as if Melissa's choices had carved permanent shadows beneath her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "For what?" My voice barely rose. "For not seeing the signs. For not stopping her. For letting both my daughters suffer in ways I never imagined." I didn't have the strength to absolve anyone, so I simply nodded. As we walked toward the car, I looked back at the courthouse door just once. I didn't see Melissa, only the echo of what we used to be and the truth of what we had become.
Not sisters.
Not anymore. Just two women whose lives diverged the moment one of us chose deception over blood and the other chose survival over silence.